Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of City Talks with Ruben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051 FM. On this show, we discuss current political and human interest stories that impact us as Nigerians and as members of a global human community. Today, we will dive into present issues affecting our educational system. 18-year age limit for Neco, Waec, and universities admission, as is now being proposed by the Nigerian government, as has been announced by the Federal Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman. We're told that this won't take effect until next year, so we have just a 1 year window. But today we have an expert in education to help us dissect the subject. And it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today's discussion, Dr. Adetun Emiola, a senior lecturer at the University of Lagos. Of Lagos Senate, Subdean, Faculty of Education, the largest faculty at the University of Lagos. She's a member of the Faculty of Education Welfare Committee also. Dr. Emiola is married to Olusoji Emiola, and they're blessed with 3 adult children who are successful in the various fields of endeavor. Today, we're focusing on a topic that has sparked much debate among students, parents, and educators alike. With the 18, 6 plus 6, what does that give us? 12 plus 3, that's 15, plus another 3, that's 18. So Professor Mama argues that his directive is in line with the global standard. He stated that in the United States, students apply to enter universities between the ages of 18 and 19, because if you don't turn 6 in September of the year you want to start first grade, you have to wait till the following year. In Finland, Canada, it is also 18. So 1051. You can reach us on WhatsApp at 0909 916 4403. Or you can reach out to us on our social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. Well, thank you very much for joining us. You're welcome, Dr. Adetun Emiola. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, to kick things off, let's first discuss the root of these age-limited policies. Now, there's been a lot of emotions, there's been a lot of reactions, the controversy. But do you think that there should be more flexibility in these age requirements? Or do you see value in insisting on an 18-year age limit for university admissions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Abati. I would like to start by saying that there's nothing in life that is supposed to be so rigid. But I actually see value in this new development. Actually, it's not a new development. We are just standing on something that is already existing. It's not a new development. It's just something that we want to implement. That's what is happening now. And I actually see value in this new proclamation. There must be a change in the way we have been doing things in this country. And that is what Professor Tahir Maman and I believe the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are trying to do, to make sure that students get into school when they are supposed to be in school and they leave at the time they are supposed to leave. Not entering school when they are not ready for school, or leaving when they are not ready to leave. So I actually see
approach. Should there be, exceptions for gifted children?
Thank you so much. There will always be exceptional cases. There will always be children who are said to be gifted. There will always be children who are exceptionally brilliant. Looking at what should obtain for every Nigerian student, not the exceptional cases. There will be cases like the Mafidon case that you have just mentioned. But we are looking at the general populace. What is supposed to obtain for every Nigerian student is what we are looking at now. Those exceptional cases, we will treat them as exceptional cases. We'll treat them as a one-off thing, not as a general case. So generally, I think the age of 18 is what will be obtainable in all. We will always treat them as one-off cases.
Okay, there's a political dimension to this issue. One, there are persons who have said Professor Taye Mamman is from northern Nigeria, and this is an attempt to hold down the South, where children tend to go to school much earlier. And then some people argue, like Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the last general elections, that look, this runs contrary to what the law says. That Nigeria, this policy. After all, state governments, state universities can decide to admit students who are much younger. What do you think, Doctor?
Well, the educational system in Nigeria is a central system, and that is why the whole of Nigeria, we run just one curriculum. We just one curriculum, one Nigerian curriculum. So it's a central system that we run in Nigeria. If it were a situation where each state is allowed to run their own educational system the way they wish, that one can now obtain. But what we have now is a central system of education in Nigeria, and because of that, the decisions are being made centrally. They are being made from the federal level, and that is why we have a federal Ministry of Education that passes down or disseminates information to the state ministries of education. So what we have of the federation, it's not just going to be in one state, maybe in the north or in the south. I grew up in the north, so I know what obtains in the north. It's not as if we don't know what obtains in the north. It does not have to do with, I don't think it has to do with any political inclination, as it were, but rather it's a federal situation that we have, and that is exactly how I want us to look at it.
But Madam, the other question that has been raised is, people say, is this the priority? Why is the Nigerian government not focusing 50 million perhaps, in parts of the year?
I'm not so certain that we can call it urgent priority, but actually it's something that should have been implemented or should have been under implementation for some years now. Because you see, when you go abroad and you go to all over the world of sending underage children to school, a few months ago we had the issue of all the universities in some parts of Africa that we send our children to. Most of these children that go out of Nigeria, most of them are underage, and they go out and they come back, and they really don't add much value to our whether political or economic situation in the country. So it's not as if it's something that is very, very paramount right now, but it's something that we actually need to look into. We shouldn't just allow it to continue the way it has continued, that we see 11-year-olds, 15-year-olds in university, that they don't know their left from their right. We're talking about a situation whereby students are admitted into the university. They are not in any way ready. They are not emotionally ready. They are not socially ready. They are not in any way ready. Mentally, they are not ready to cope with the rigors of the higher institution. So it's not something that, of course, it's not at the top corner right now, but it's something that is we should address. We should address it as soon as possible.
Okay, Dr. Miola, you are an educationist. One of the things that Professor Taye Mamman said is that, this is based on now, if you look at that, the argument by Professor Fafunwa is that, look, when a child is before the age of 5, the child is still just a child, and there is the need for maturity. You have been teaching within the university system for a long time. Have you observed that they are necessarily immature, or that they necessarily find it difficult to adjust to a university environment. What has been your own personal experience?
Thank you so much. Yes, my personal experience has been, of course, we have gifted children, like I said earlier on, but we found out over the university. I'm using University of Lagos as an example right now. The lower the ages of these children, these students that come into the university, the less maturity they display. The less maturity they display, and most of them, you find out that they are not able to take decisions. They are not able to take good decisions because they are not mentally mature, they are not emotionally mature, and most of the time they are still dependent on their parents. So this level of independence is not there at all. And you'll find out that when they come into the campus like that, when they come into the system, they find it very, very difficult to cope. They are the ones that find it easy to be lured into different kinds of vices. When they come into the school, they are lured into cultism, they are lured into all sorts of vices there, because they are not emotionally ready, they are not emotionally mature enough to be in the school system, to be on their own, to be independent. They are not yet ready for that. So that's one of the problems that we face when we admit immature and emotionally dependent students that are still dependent on their parents or on their family for one thing or the other. So those are the challenges that we see. In actual fact, the higher the ages of the students that we admit, the better. Of course, there will always be exceptions to the rule, but generally, we find out that the older the students are, the more focused they are, they face what they have come to school to do, and then they go out with better grades, opportunity for them to leave home, and so most of the time they misuse these opportunities that they have.
Okay, Dr. Miola, let me ask you, are you saying that age is synonymous with maturity? Because there are a lot of mature people who are not smart, who are not
not in all cases, Dr. Abasi, not in all cases. Yes, not in all cases. Age might not be synonymous with maturity, but we find out that most of the time, when you look at all these psychologists and do or should be able to achieve per time, so it may not be a correlate per se, but it actually helps, and it goes a long way. The older you get, the more mature you are supposed to get. Of course, there will be exceptions. There will be those that are getting older, but they are not maturing. They are not maturing emotionally. They are not maturing socially. But it's supposed to help. Your age is supposed to help, because if at age 18 you can make your decisions. That is the lawful age of adulthood. So you are supposed to be able to make your own decisions. And if you make mistakes at that age, you will know that you are the one that is responsible for it. But if your parents are still making decisions for you, if your parents are still taking decisions for you at age 18 and you're in university, you have to consult with your parents before you know what courses to take. You have to consult with your parents before you know where to eat and where not to eat on campus. You have to consult with your parents for everything. It's actually a problem. So age is very, very important, even though age is not a correlate to
because I know people who are over 40 and they will call their parents to seek advice on every item. So that's why I say, age is not synonymous with maturity. But let me ask you,
not synonymous.
Yeah, what recommendations will you make to the Ministry of Education, since we're confronted with two different views of the subject? There are persons who are saying, look, this is not fair enough. There are persons who are saying, maturity is important. So how should they strike a balance? Because if you look at the JAMB Act, the Administration Act of the Joint Admissions Matriculation Board of 1978-79, it does not talk about a specific age. It talks about suitable candidates who are qualified. So what are we looking at? And then how do we deal with the situation whereby students now and parents now will begin to falsify birth certificates? Only the other day, the First Lady of Nigeria was talking about SDG, 16 about birth registration. So parents now will say, well, before this, my child is told that he or she cannot go to university at 16. Do you see the possibility that we'll keep having falsification of birth certificates?
Right now, as it were, we are already having falsification of birth certificates because parents want their children to go to university or to go to higher institution at 14. They want them to go at 15. So we already have it. It's already a problem that we are facing already on ground. But one of the things that we can do, that the government can do to help the citizens and to help the students, as it were, is to regulate the age of entry, first and foremost, into the secondary schools. You see, when we regulate the ages that can come into the secondary school, it will help us. That means that once you get into the secondary school at a particular age, there's nothing that you can falsify because you will be mature enough. You will be old enough to enter into the higher institution. But when they come into the secondary school at age 9, they come into the secondary school at age 8, how old will they be when they want to finish in secondary school and enter the university? So let's start from, even if we cannot regulate or control the primary school, let us start from the secondary school. Anyone who wants to rush their child into the primary school, you can rush their child. But once it comes into entering into the secondary school, let us peg it. Let's peg it that nobody should. We are supposed to start at age 6. You start at age 6 and run it 6 years and enter into the secondary school at age 12. Once you enter secondary school at age 12 and three years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, by the time you are done with senior secondary school, you should be at least 18 or going on 18. Because the rule is that, I don't think it's education by compulsion. Because there's no how, even if we start to implement this policy, that will be affected. Those ones that have finished at 16 now, those ones that are still on ground that want to enter into the university next year, of course they will be affected. But I don't think it's anybody trying to witch hunt anybody or trying to force anybody to put their children into A levels. But most of these children will still have to, because some of them even want to travel abroad and they want to go to school abroad. You want to go to school abroad, nobody will admit you into the university abroad until you are 18. Things will get out of hands. And at the end of the day, so many people's integrity might be at stake and all that. I think we should just stick to this, implementing this 6334, 18 years, and we should just stick to that. Let's not go into getting guardians and getting people that are going to stand for somebody legally that will sign for you, that involve paraventure, this. I know that in some of our secondary schools today, when they go to when the students are sent to the counselors, the guidance and counseling unit, they are sent there to find out which area this person will be best suited for, and then the students are told, okay, this is your area where you think that you will do better, and then some of the students will say, no, we don't want to maybe to the arts. I want to go to the sciences. My mommy said that I must do chemistry, physics, and biology. And they send the forms to the parents to sign, or to the legal guardians to sign that, oh, please sign that your child has said that he or she wants to go to the sciences, and we are believing that he or she should be in the arts. Parents sign all these things, but at the end of the day, when these students fail, the bulk of the blame is still heaped on the teachers. So I think the Nigerian factor might be a major factor there. Let's just implement this thing and let everybody go through this new or newly implemented policy that we want to start.
Let's take a short break, and after the break we'll take other perspectives. There are more questions, and I imagine that persons will join us in this conversation. Remember, if you want to be part of this conversation, the number to call is 0700 1051 1051. You can also message us on WhatsApp at 0909 916 4403. and via social media at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. Shortly, we'll be taking calls, so please dial in, and when you do so, let us know who you are.
It's your girl, Nurma, and Nurma is a musician. I should have said presenter first. Let me take that again. Hey, it's your girl, Nurma. Nurma is a presenter and a podcaster.
The voice you love. My name is O'Daniels for short. OAP at a radio station in Lagos.
Koyisola Olukoya, producer and red carpet host.
Code, I'm on the personality.
My name is Rume, compare and a creative.
I participated in the City Media Academy.
One of the launchpad for my dreams.
It cured my stage fright.
It doesn't just cater to radio. So if you're looking to further your career in the media,
hey, you know what? Come on down.
Next session starts September 2nd, 2024. Online classes also available. Call 0810-968-8638 or www.city1051fm.com. Click on the CMA page for more. The City Media Academy. Explore the world of broadcast media.
Are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it. It's okay.
When you need unbiased information, balanced analysis, reviews, and insight on the policies and programs that concern you, listen to City Talks with Ruben Abati. Be a part of it. Call 0700-1051-1051 to lend your voice on topics and help shape our country for the better.
My name is Ruben Abati. I will be your host on City Talks from noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Join me as we dissect major issues of public interest. You will be glad you did.
City Talks with Ruben Abati on your number noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
Welcome back from that short break. If you are just tuning in, you are welcome to City Talks on City 1051 FM, and we're discussing today the age limit on Neco, Waec, and university admissions. And as I said earlier, you can join us via 07001051 1051. You can send us WhatsApp messages on 0909 916 4403 or connect with us on social media at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. And our guest is Dr. Emiola of the Faculty of Education and Social Sciences and Educationalist. So please dial in and let us know who you are and where you are calling from. Dr. Emiola is here with us to answer your questions. Yes? Who is on the line?
Yes, my name is Tony Rotimi. Good afternoon, Dr. Ruben Abati.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tony Rotimi. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Nala, I really appreciate what you are saying. But permit me to say with due respect that the policy being discussed, to me, is not only a cake, but it is nonsensical at this time. With due respect, this is because you do not use mental age and chronological age, without looking at the exposure and what can simply call the experience of the child. The mental age of a child determines his or her maturity based on exposure or the experience. The formative age of any child starts from 2. I'm talking as an educationist. I graduated in education in 1989. So what we are saying is this. In 1982, when Professor Basafua of blessed memory brought this idea, at that time, it was below digital age. The digital age was at its infancy, if not zero. There were no digital values at that time. How many television stations did we have? How many radio stations did we have? How many computers did we have? They were using typewriters and the rest of them. So we have a lot of things that have come up now. 1982 to now, if you are comparing it, it is sad. If we are going back to 1982 in 2024, it is archaic. So what I'm now saying in essence is this, with due respect to your knowledge, man, that you are talking of maturity when somebody is above 18. I politely disagree with you. Maturity has to do more with what we can call the exposure of that child to what is available. From age 2 now, when these pupils now begin to go to school, they learn a lot. One, from their teachers who are adults and from their peers who are older. So you don't have the same age in primary school or in nursery school. So you have different ages. So what you are now saying, Mason, is that until somebody now gets to 18, that's when he can now do it. It's archaic. It is something that should belong to the stone age. The digital age now is okay. When you send message today now, as I speak now, you can send any document to anywhere in the world. Within minutes it will be there. But in 1982, you'll have to wait for about 2 months or whatever thing for P&T will get your letters to where it is going. So things have changed. We cannot be going to 1982 at this time. Then there was another one, Dr. Abati. You are a lawyer. You raised the issue of the constitutional aspect, but the explanation there is not satisfactory to me from our respected madam there. The Constitution puts education on concurrent list. Federal Ministry of Education cannot be controlling the state's tertiary institutions and cannot be controlling the private institutions, tertiary institutions. It is against the Constitution. This is because, can we now say Federal Ministry of Health can determine who is admitted in private hospitals in Nigeria or who is admitted in state hospitals in Nigeria? No. The federal government agencies cannot be controlling state agencies. I'm using this occasion to call on lawyers to take this matter to court and let it be determined. The Attorney General of the states can take this thing against the federal government. You cannot determine for the states on issue of education. It's on concurrent list. And the parents, according to the Constitution, have the right to educate their children. You don't have to wait till anybody now tells you this is how you do it. So it is archaic. Professor Tariq Obama, I respect him so well, the Minister of Education, and Professor this man in JAM, Professor this, they should think that JAM is a federal agency. It is not something that should determine who is admitted in any of the schools, any of the tertiary institutions. So we need to change this thing in the interest of Nigeria. And I want to say this, maturity is not determined by chronological age. When you are trying to compute what can call intelligence quotient, you plot the percentage of chronological age against that of mental age. These days, these students have very strong mental age. Permit me to say this on a final note. My first daughter graduated at the university at the age of 19, and she's doing very, very well. And the second, they graduated for 20, and they are doing very well. So, finally, what is going to be the negative consequences of getting to the university before 18? And Professor Tairu Maman and Madam tell us that if somebody enters university before 18, what are the negative consequences of the learning outcome? But what are the positive consequences of those people who are aged, maybe 40 years, 30 years before they enter university? What are the positive consequences as Nigeria is today? It's unfortunate that we'll be thinking in 2024 as if we were in 1982. If Professor Baltasua were alive today, he will change this archaic policy. It can no longer hold water. It's inane and nonsensical. God bless Nigeria. My name is Kunoroti.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rotimi. I'm very sure that Dr. Emiola heard you very well. Well, your response, Doctor.
Okay. Thank you so much to the caller there. Now, in as much as maturity is actually not measured by chronological age, it's expedient that educational progress should be measured by age. Maturity may not be measured by chronological age, but educational progress should be measured by age, so that at every point in time, at whatever age a student finds himself or herself, it is expected that he or she should be in a particular class, should be at a particular level educationally. It may not be as a result of maturity But so that there will be a good means of measurement, we need to allow our educational progress to be measured by age.
Sir, my name is Joy. I'm calling from Alim of Shota. Sir?
Policies are never properly implemented. Policies are never properly implemented. My only Suka. So there's another message here. Well, this is Akinrogun Alaba Yusuf. He's saying, will Dr. Emiola and the Minister of Education allow their own children to wait till 18 years before entering university? Well, that's a personal question. So I'll let you deal with the intervention by Professor Uche Eze, and also the question about whether you yourself would respect the policy as a mother and as an educationist.
Actually, as a mother, unfortunately, that question might not maturity in terms of age, and I'm an advocate for educational progress being measured by age. So yes, I would actually want my children, if they were still or so, they do so, because at 18, a student is likely to have a better understanding of their career goals. They can make informed decisions that will move them forward, not decisions that will stagnate them or make them go backward. So they can make informed decisions at that age. So
okay, we seem to have another caller on the line. Hello, thank you for joining us. City Talks with Ruben Abati. Okay, we lost that call, but someone has reacted almost immediately to say, well, that Dr. Eniola, are you aware that your grandchildren will have to wait till 18 before they get to school?
Hello?
Okay, that's one question. But someone else is on the line, yes? Thank you for joining.
Dr. Ruben Abati.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is the cerebral one, Dr. Moses.
Dr. Moses.
Anyway, I've listened to the woman, the doctor over there, and I'm equally in this field. But my concerns, I think Kunero to me, the earlier caller, factors well. I know there could be some outliers, some geniuses like that, will always pick out like some sore form. We can't afford to measure everyone, in that manner. But it's still a fact. A young man in the University of Lagos at 24, I think I'm 14, I know where Oluwadara graduated. Yes, I know someone, I say a person, I can call him a friend, who entered IFE, if I use that word now, in 1995 at 19 and graduated at 29 just for a first degree in pharmacy.
This meeting
concurrently. So the man, the minister should be ready for enough litigations next year. It will not see light of the day. I can tell you that. As much as we have taxation, health, and the like under concurrent until FIRC condition, so also in the educational field, you don't necessarily have to wait on the federal government. If it affects only those attending the University of Lagos, Ife, Ibadan, good for them. But they can't entirely dictate what happens in LASU, OSU, and like. So let them get ready for that. Secondly, I think last year or 2 years ago, because it's in my field, there was this policy statement made by Adamu when he was about to leave office that you can a child can only write comments from the age of 10 years. Now, put 6 years plus 10 years, that makes it 16. I'm not extremist on either side. I don't want a child, just because of our schools. I saw on newspaper about 2 or 3 days ago. The newspaper was dated October 17, 1983. And there's the headline. ASU set to embark on a grand strike. As an assumption of 1983. ASU strike, internal anchor and Ife, and the like, and made a mess of that guy's career. He lost all enthusiasm before he finished school. We must all look at this. The countries we want to aid, in the UK, they are stricter to age. They don't go outside there. We know, as we speak right now, ASU is about to embark on another pilgrimage or strike. We know all this. So all this must be considered. And you leave school, you still see some ludicrous requirements oh, 23 to 26 will be can apply. You must have 3 or 4 years experience. A child can actually start there, can write common entrance at the age of 10. I had this one clearly. So what do we do now? How do we put all this together? Not forgetting that, as I said, there are beneficiations. Education is on concurrent list, so it is not in the powers of the minister to decide what happens in state institutions. Whether at the federal institution, Nsu can code, they can decide that if you are 30 or 50, that's when you can enter their schools, but not in schools like Osu, Lafu, and the like. I think I want to hear what the doctor has to say also. Thank you.
Okay, before Dr. Emiola responds, let's take 2 more interventions. I can see Dr. Boniface Chizia's hand up. After Dr. Boniface Chizia, we can also have Ibrahima. Meanwhile, the dashboard there is blinking non-stop. I guess that this is an important subject to everyone. But Dr. Boniface Chizia, thank you for joining us.
All right. So the structures, get down, make sure that the controls will start from below. And so we'll remove all these the people who get into a university. I believe that I accept the fact that there should be an age, but I'm a bit concerned that there might be exceptional cases. So where you have exceptional cases, there has to be some accommodation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chizia. Let's take Brahma. Mr. Brahma, please.
Yeah, Dr. Abati, good afternoon, and to our guest speaker. Well, I want to say that this policy is already controversial, and since that is the case, it should be suspended. The problem in Nigeria is not having policies. We have so many policies. There's always been that of implementation, because those who are in charge of implementation, they like to compromise our values, because of Naira and Kobo. That is the truth. We have so many out of school children, I understand according to UNICEF data, there are more than 60 million or thereabouts. What are we doing about that? That's number 2. The infrastructure in public schools, they have decayed over the years. Nothing is being done. And I know that every year we have budgets, for these schools. What is being done? And I think this has led to the proliferation of private schools and even universities. You cannot stop brilliant and exceptional students, gifted children, to go at the pace they want to go, because clearly there are.
Talking about in ASU and industrial actions and strikes and all that, I want us to understand the fact that these are circumstantial and they are not the norm. It's not normal for a child to enter school and expect to graduate in 6 years when it's a 4-year program. It's not a norm. ASU strikes are just circumstantial, and it's not every year that they even happen. So we shouldn't base our judgment on the fact that ASU might go on strike. There might be some form of industrial action, and so the students will not graduate when they are supposed to graduate. That one is by the way. Now, whether we like it or not, there is a federal government structure in Nigeria, and it's in conjunction with all the states. And that is why when we say the Federal Ministry of Education, through the Minister for Education, has brought out a particular policy that they want to begin to implement, it's something that cuts across all states, because every state is a stakeholder. Every state is a stakeholder, and so it's not a situation whereby the federal government is working alone. The federal government is working in conjunction with all the states. And when we say that the federal government cannot dictate for the states, whether the federal government dictates or not for all the private and state universities, there must always be a high level of uniformity, and that is what we are talking about here, the uniformity. So that what obtains in the federal universities should also obtain in the state universities, and should also obtain in the private universities. Because at the end of the day, the NUC is the one that is in charge, that is the overall body that is in charge of all these universities. So there must be some high level of uniformity, and it is the uniformity we are talking about now, that we need to peg the age of admission into higher institution to 18 for uniformity's sake. For uniformity's sake. And it is not that there will not be some.
Hello.
There will always be.
Hello, doctor. Please go ahead. Hello, Dr. Emiola, are you there? Hello, we get back to have her back on the line. But in the meantime, Akinogun Alaba Yusuf says Nigeria is like ballroom dance. 1 step forward and 5 backwards. Our fathers attended standard school. Let's go back there like the old national anthem. Victoria Iyawe says, good afternoon, Dr. Emiola. I understand that some parents move the children to secondary schools because of the financial difficulties. What do you say? I mean, maybe it's a good idea to fast track the education so that parents can save a little money. Adebimpe Bada says we have always had gifted schools. They are not changing that. To every rule, there are exceptions. The exceptional ones we go, but that can be the general rule, she says. Dr. Emiola, are you back with us? Oh, we seem...
I've had so many parents say this to me, that the reason why they want their children to move from primary 4, sometimes from primary 4 or primary 5, is because of the school fees. That why would a child that is coping very well in primary 4 or 5, why would the child not be allowed to go into GSS 1? Why must we waste money paying for this? That one is an economic factor entirely, and that doesn't mean that because you cannot pay for your child's school fees, it doesn't mean that it is right for that child to move